Hey everyone, so in this image, and I'm going to show you how I did that, and that way it might inspire you to make your own sort of similar artwork. So on this one, I have the race cookie effect behind it, but I created this one with mainly the accent style here. So first of all, the most important thing that I'm going to tell you is that I use guides, different stock images and guides for tracing all the time. And it's very good because I'm actually not a natural drawer, like a good drawer at all. Like you give me some pencil and paper and I'll make a stick figure. So I use my guides and that helps me. And sometimes it's just for a shape or a line or whatever. But Eiffel Tower is pretty specific, so this is a pretty good guide. So I got some stock image offline, and I'm going to use that as my general guide, but do it in, and create my own new artwork from this. So to get started, we're going to pick our brushes, and I used one brush for these outer edges here, and let's just scroll through and find that brush. So I used this one, it was brush number 34. And then the style that I used was like light accents. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the layer style to the layer, and it'll show it as I draw. And that's way too big, so we're going to just click on my left bracket key, and we're going to get this down to a really nice size. That's a little too small. So I'm just going to find the size that kind of matches the other one. So I guess that's it. There. That looks okay. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good size. I could just up it one level just because. So what I'm going to do is I am going to just sort of trace along this outer edges as my guide. So I do like this, and then I will do this outer edge. And you can turn, okay, I don't have a very steady hand this morning. Maybe I will undo that. You can turn the smoothing up a little bit if you don't have the steadiest of hand right up here. And that gives you that extra smoothing help from your program. Sometimes it can slow it down just a little bit because it feels slow because it's smoothing as you go. But okay, that's close enough. And now I'm going to do the same brush down the center. And on this one I made two separate ones, but yeah, I could just go like this. So I'm going to follow like so. And then I'll just go right from here, do this other side. And don't worry that like right here I've crossed over. I'll erase this later, but mainly I wanted my strokes to be continuous. So if I do like this, it's going to look more, how would you say, like not contiguous or whatever, that line. So now I'm going to do all the little detail lines on the inside. So I think those are going to be kind of under this layer. So I have a new layer here. I'm going to put it under the layer I just created. I'm going to also put the accent light style on, and or maybe medium. I don't know. No, I'm going to stick with accents light. And then this one, I just have the little dotty style brush. So I'm going to go just right here, brush number 2, and I take it down until it's teeny tiny to follow these little, oh, that's too teeny tiny. So I'm going to play around until I get the look that I see over on the left. So bear with me. One more down. That looks okay. So, and don't worry if it doesn't look perfect right now, but I will just kind of go along and follow these lines that I see here on the black. And it gets a little distracting when I'm working right now because you've got all these layers in the black, but I'm just following along these black lines here and kind of tracing these little crisscrossies. And I'm also going to do these little bits here, kind of, actually I'll skip those for now. That looks a little bit confusing. So I'm not going to worry about it being exactly perfect compared to the one that I did, but you'll get the idea. So we're just going to scroll down through here, follow these guides for all the lattice work crisscrossies. And then we'll leave these two levels here, and I'll show you how I did those later. So they probably won't look as perfect as the other ones because I took my time there, but you will get the general idea. And I'm kind of doing these out of order, but it doesn't really matter. They're all on the same layer. So bear with me while I do a little bit of this tedium. But it's nice, and it also gives it, like, if I was going to make like straight vector, it'll look so perfect. And I like, especially with this cookie and everything, you want kind of a hand-drawn effect. You know, you don't want it to be so perfect. So then I go like this, and it's looking good. So we're on our way. And let's see here, just to give a bit, yeah, no, that'll look good. So now we can do this part right here. So I'm going to just ignore this for now. Let's take these two layers, and I'm going to put a clipping mask, or no, let's ignore that. I'm going to take my selection tool up on the top left, and I'm just going to cut because I know that I want to go ahead and cut. So let's take the first layer, and I'm going to just cut where I have this balcony sort of situation, and I have to see where exactly I want to cut. So let's just cut kind of right, kind of like right here. And I cut that. Did that cut it? Oh, okay, my cursor keeps going away. Okay, cut. There we go. Okay, finally. And then I'm going to go down to the layer below it, and I'm going to go select, reselect, and I'm going to cut that as well. Okay, so I make sure that that place is kind of clear. Now let's go over to my top layer. Let's select this balcony, sort of this mezzanine level, and cut it. And go to the layer below, select, reselect, and cut that. Make sure that's all cut. So now I've got that place to put this kind of mezzanine layer. And you don't have to cut it if you don't want to commit. You could like put a clipping mask and then paint in black, or, you know, hit cut. So that I have that open. So now we are gonna go, I'm gonna go ahead and make a new layer, and I'm gonna make this thing that goes straight across here. So going back to my brush, I'm gonna put Accents Light Style on this new layer. I'm gonna go to my brush, and I'm going to get the brush that I use, which is brush 38, and I'm going to take the size down. I'm going to hold my shift key because this one I just want it to be straight across. So I'm going to go like that, and that looks pretty good. So good enough. And I even on this one I had used a little like a different brush to kind of have these dropping sides. So let's go and do the same thing that I did there just for consistency's sake. I had used this brush number 34, and I had just taken it down and drawn like a little vertical stroke here, and so it had this little hanging bit. So I'll do the same thing over here, and that looks okay. Don't worry if it's not perfect, you know, we're gonna just not worry about that. So that's cool. And so now I'm gonna focus on this part here. So I'm gonna make a new layer, add my accents layer, my accent style on it, and now I want to do the first bit across the first layer. So let's find that brush. So that looks like brush number 25. Yeah, but we got to take the size down here, and That looks good. So I think I will not undo that, maybe just take it down just, and you can just kind of play with it. So let's just go across. Very good. So I've got the first one. I am just going to hold down my Option key and drag this layer like this to duplicate it. Or you could just duplicate that layer. Go here up on top right. Hold on. Go to here and go to duplicate layer. I do that a lot as like a time saver. So I'm going to duplicate layer because that way it has the layer style already on it. And then I'll select all and cut. And now I'm going to make this row below here. So let's find my brush with the hearts. And we want to hit our left bracket to take this size down. There we go. And maybe one more. And then I'll go like this. Good enough. It's not perfect, but we're just going to give you the idea. So now I've got my second row, and now I need my third row. So I will duplicate this layer and select all, cut. Now I've got my layer style already on it, or you could just make a new layer and put the layer style. It's really all about your workflow. Let's get my third brush, which is this shallow sort of brush. There we go. And we'll just take this down here and go across like so. The left side still looks better, but I'm doing this kind of fast. And then the last bit that I did was I did these little vertical lines here. So I'm going to actually put that down on the bottom layer. I'll take, and I will put it above it. Make a new layer. Put your accents layer, accents light style on, and then we're going to get that dot brush. Number 2, take it way down and just make some little vertical lines here, and I'm totally not worried about if it's perfect, but there we go. So close enough is my new motto, and I'm going to turn off that guide layer, and there we have roughly the same thing, not quite as perfect, but the same general idea. And now below it, I'm going to put some of the dark baked style. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I will put main medium, or maybe it was main dark. We'll just start with dark. And then let's go to my brushes and go all the way down to the bottom. The 55 brush is the last brush. That's the one I use most of the time. And this is darker than the other one, but it's good because it'll help us see it. So I'm going to just draw this kind of along the side, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you get the idea. Drawing this on this side and following along because I want it to go all the way past the accents so that you see the accents on top of the baked cookie cake part. So just doing like so. There we go. Oh, it's a little fat, but it's fine. And there we go. My computer runs a little bit slower when I am making a video. So there we've got that, and we can take it down to main medium. I think that's the one that I used on that one. Mine's a little fatter over here, but you get the idea. It's like a baked good, and it's not perfect as a baked good would be. And then to finish it off, I use these like the same brush to make little frosting dots on the top. So I'll make like a new layer on top, and I will put the frosting thin, why not? And then just put some, I kind of, oops, hello. I'll take this down a little bit. Let's see here. Oh, that's why I'm using that brush. I wanted to use brush like number 2. There we go. Or brush number 3. That's fine. And I'm going to use this as a stamp. So let's take the brush size down. There we go. That looks much better. Although that's, okay, I can't do it quite that random. I have like 3 little dots here. And then I kind of make this beacon sort of shape with the dots. And it's not as perfect, but there we go. All right, fine. Close enough. So I got a little beacon on the top there. I definitely did a nicer job on the other one. And that's how I made that. But as you see, I used the tracing guide, so it was no like special thing. And you can make this kind of a baked look and with these cool like cake accents on top and make a really cool effect. So hopefully that will inspire you to make your own sort of creation in this style. And if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below.